Today this is my second episode of BLD cooking, breakfast, lunch, and dinner cooking. And I'm going to be making almond puff coffee cake that Aunt Vivian gave me the recipe to, that was on the back of a gold medal flour bag. But I have found it online and I'm going to make it. And what you do is we're going to start out with a cup of flour, and a stick of butter, which is a half cup. And it said to soften it, but I'm going to do it like I do my pie crust, and I'm just going to cut it up a little bit. I'm going to work it into the flour. And it says to put it on an ungreased cookie sheet. And so that's what I'm going to do. Some people use a grater to get this all worked in, but I'm just going to use my hands. It says to use it with softened butter, but I don't know. It's kind of like a shortbread crust. So I'm going to show you what I do. This is how I make my pie crust too, but I use lard because lard is a really good crust. You can't beat lard. Nothing is better than lard. And what you want to do is you want to make this into like a crumble. You want to keep pulverizing it until it's like a little crumble. And I always keep my hair tied back when I'm cooking because nothing is worse than giving somebody something to eat with one of your hairs in it. So I just keep working it. And this was a cold stick of butter. Called for 1 cup of flour and a half a cup of butter. And then it calls for 2 tablespoons of water. So we'll see how that goes. And you just keep working it with your hands, clean hands, until it's all into a little fine crumble. It's starting to stick together. And when I'm making pie crust, I would add a little more flour to it so it wouldn't stick together. But this is a little shortbread bottom for this almond puff coffee cake. Almost there. Okay. Then you add a couple teaspoons or tablespoons of water. And it's coming together. And it says to put it on an ungreased cookie sheet. And I gave my nice cookie sheet to my son, so I'm using my not so great cookie sheet. But what you do then is you want to put some, sorry for the banging, I'm learning here. So you want to separate this into two pieces. I put a little flour so it's a little easier to manage. I'm going to preheat the oven to 350. I'm going to bring you over here to my cookie sheet. Okay. I've got my 3 eggs out. I'm trying to be a little more prepared. And now I'm going to roll this into a kind of a little tube. And then my hands are a little wet, which helps. And you want like a 12-inch little thing. You don't want it too thin. Kind of square off the ends. You want it, what you're going to be doing is making like a cream puff top on this. This coffee cake is to die for. And then you make another strip. Right next to it. This tastes just like shortbread, and actually that's what is in shortbread, is butter and flour and sugar, basically. But this is sweet enough that you don't need the sugar for the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to take 1 cup of water, turn it on medium, 1 cup of water, and another stick of butter. This is why this is so yummy. Okay, and then you want to put my almond flavoring out here. I think I put it in the cabinet. Well, what the heck did I do with it? Anyway, here we go. So it does call for almond, but I'm going to put a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of almond. Hang on, folks. Here I am. Here it is. I hid it away really good. Okay. Now we're coming back to the, see how the butter is melting into the, it calls for 1 teaspoon of almond, but I like to put almond and vanilla. So this is almond, so I'm going to put a little bit more. Okay, then once this comes to a little bit of a boil, you add a cup of flour. I always like to use unbleached flour because you don't need the bleached flour. It's this is better for you. Okay. So I'm going to get that butter all melted. sturdier spoon. Almost there. You can smell the almond extract in it. It smells so good. This is how you make cream puffs too. If you ever wanted, I don't know if you've ever had a Saunders hot fudge cream puff, but you make the cream puffs and you just put them in little circles and bake them, and then you put vanilla ice cream, and then you put hot fudge over, and you put the top of the cream puff back over it. Oh my gosh, never had anything better. Saunders hot fudge cream puffs. I'm going back in time. They used to have Saunders in the malls. Boy, was that yummy. We used to really enjoy that. Okay, I'm going to add my cup of flour. Starts to get thick. I'm going to shut the heat off. You want to beat it pretty good and get all the little, I'm a messy cook, as you can see. My daughter always complains, Mom, slow down. Okay. I think that looks good. Yep, some of my mess here. And then you add, take it off the burner, and you add 1 egg at a time. And you beat that in. Until it's fully into it. You don't want to let the egg sit on the bottom of the pan because it might start to cook, and that's not what you want. Okay, that's 1. 2. Beat it pretty good. Okay, and then 3. Okay. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to bring over your shortbread. You want to start putting this on the shortbread. This is going to be like your cream puff on top of the shortbread. You would not believe this coffee cake, I'm telling you. It is so good. Aunt Vivian, she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. She lived in up north Michigan, near Alpena. Grandpa built a stone house up there. My oven is ready. And I'm going to smooth this. I'm going to wet it a little bit. And I'm going to smooth this onto this shortbread. I'm going to wet it again. I wet the bottom of the little spoon so it wouldn't stick. Okay. I think that's good. I want to make sure it's on the shortbread, not on the... Okay, I'm going to put it in the oven, and it takes an hour at 350, and I'll get back to you. Oh, okay, so the almond puff coffee cake is done, and I've let it cool. I let it cool for about a half hour. And now I am going to make the frosting for you. And what you take is a cup and a half of powdered sugar. And then you take some almond flavoring and a couple tablespoons of butter. And you smash that all around. Oh, that almond flavoring smells so good. Kind of work it in best you can. And then you've got to add a little tiny bit of milk, and you've got to be so careful because if you add too much, you've got to add more powdered sugar. So now I'm going to add a little bit of milk. Just a little tiny bit of milk. See what you got. You can always add more. I need a little bit more. They said 2 tablespoons, so I'm not a really measuring kind of cook, but I try. Okay. And you want to beat those lumps out of it. Okay, now I'm going to bring my coffee cake over. And I'm going to put the frosting on it. I think it needs just a little bit more powdered sugar. You don't want it to run off of it. those lumps out of it so it's pretty. And if you wanted to make this more festive, if you wanted to add a color to it, you could. I let this cool for about a half hour, and I think that that's good enough. I'm using a kind of a spatula type spoon, and it works really good. Get every bit of it. And then just spread it nicely over the coffee cake. This is a real delicate little coffee cake, and it is so flavorful. You won't believe it, how flavorful it is. And then what I did is I toasted lightly a little bit ago. I lightly toasted these almond slivers, because whenever you warm up nuts, it always brings out more of a flavor. And you want to be careful you don't get the crumples, you just get the nuts. But oh my gosh, you guys cannot believe how good this coffee cake is. I've had the cream puff rise a little bit more different times that I've made this, but I guess I'm in Florida, and I guess it depends on your altitude or who knows. But anyway, okay, now I rinse my hand, and I'm going to put it on a pretty platter. Wish me luck. That. And then what you do is you cut it in nice little famous knife. You don't want it to be too big of pieces. In fact, I'm going to let it cool a little more, but I just had to show you. Look at that. Look at that, how yummy that looks. And that concludes my video for today. And just remember, there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. God bless you. And love the Lord with all your heart. Thanks for watching.